I'm leading worship on a Wednesday night, and I get a call from my wife right after rehearsal, and she's like, hey, I don't know what's going on. She's in the car, and she can't move her left hand. She goes to urgent care, and I meet her there, and they do an MRI, and basically find out she has a tumor on her optic nerve.
This is the Nook Podcast. My name is Steven, and I'm breaking into the current series of shows to bring you a most intriguing conversation with a young man I met recently by the name of Wes Schrock. Wes is a worship leader and songwriter, and he has just released a brand new EP called Humanness. 7 songs that don't just encourage the listener, they tell a story. In fact, it's a story that's still unfolding. Wes has walked through his share of adversity, moments that could have easily silenced his voice or stolen what is deep inside of him. But instead, those very moments have become the soil where deep faith and authentic worship have taken root. His songs are raw, honest, and beautifully reflective of a heart that has wrestled with pain, but refuses to let go of the goodness of God. In our conversation, Wes opens up about what inspired this new project, the challenges that shaped it, and how worship has become more than just music. It's become his lifeline. You are in for a story of hope, healing, and the unshakable faithfulness of God. So settle in for this conversation with Wes Schrock. I stumbled across you on TikTok, and I was immediately drawn, by your music, just so really enjoying the new EP. And you're welcome for all the Spotify streams.
Thank you.
And once I started doing a little bit deeper dive into your YouTube channel and some of the other content that you've got out there, just knowing that you come from a church background, I myself am a recovering church video director. Nice. There was a connection for me that way as well. So I'm immediately curious on, I know you got started in church ministry as a teenager. How did that all come together?
Yeah, absolutely. So, oh goodness. Well, I grew up in Paducah, Kentucky, went to a beautiful church there, grew up there. And, I remember being in 5th grade and wanting to play an instrument. My parents got me a guitar for Christmas. And as soon as my youth pastor found out that I started playing guitar, he was in my ear like, hey man, once you're in 6th grade, part of the youth group, like we could always use some help. So I kind of got pulled into it that way. So I started showing up on Wednesday nights and joining the band, playing music, leading worship. Well, not leading worship. I think somewhere around 7th grade, I showed up one night. I was just playing acoustic on the team, in the back. I showed up one Wednesday night, and my youth pastor was like, well, the seniors have graduated that used to lead worship, so you're going to lead worship tonight. And led worship that night, and it was awful. It was just terrible, Steven. It was so bad, and I just still don't know why I kept showing up and doing it, but I did. And so that's kind of how I got started. And I got an opportunity to go to a boarding school in Minnesota when I was 15 to play soccer, actually. And while I was at the boarding school, there was a church across the street. And I knew I wanted to stay plugged into the local church.
Gotcha.
So started showing up there on Wednesday nights, and the youth pastor at the time, his name was Steve Nyland, he was preaching and leading worship every Wednesday night. And I was like, hey, I kind of helped out at my home church back in Kentucky. If you ever need help, I can help when we're in town. And he couldn't get it off his plate fast enough. He was like, please lead worship. So that's kind of how I fell into leading worship consistently. And this was a part of a multi-site church and it was kind of the campus that was way out, and no one. Essentially, they tried to hire a couple people to lead worship, to be the worship pastor for that campus, and they all turned it down. And they were like, "Well, we have this kid out there who's leading every week. Like, we might as well just let him do it for now." And so that's how I first came on staff at church. I was 17, came on part time.
Wow.
Not because I was good, Stephen. It's because literally no one else wanted to do it. That's the only reason.
The old warm body syndrome.
Yes, and it was very much that energy. So that's how I came on staff at church when I was young. Started leading worship, and I definitely was in way over my head. But you learn how to lead up, and
yeah.
I was because it was a multi-site church. I was surrounded by other amazing worship leaders, way further along the journey that I really looked up to, and we would get together every Monday and talk about the weekend, talk about worship leading, philosophy, and I grew so much because of the guys and girls around me, for sure.
Yeah,
that's kind of how I got started.
They take you under their wing and help mentor you along.
Oh yeah, to this day.
So that gets you very firmly entrenched in that church. You're around all the time now, and you ultimately meet your wife. How did you two get together?
Yeah. Oh wow. So I was at this boarding school to play soccer. The worship leading was never part of the plan, Stephen. It was I was gonna do soccer and be a professional soccer player, as ridiculous as that sounds now. And then once I had that platform, I was gonna share the gospel, and then I was at a church camp. This is summer after my junior year. I was my junior year of high school. Ryan came down to the school. He found out about me and took me out to lunch. And he was like, "Hey, I think you should. We have an internship opening up this summer. I would love to have you stay over the summer." I would usually go back to Kentucky during the summers, and he was like, "I'd love to have you stay. We can find a family you can stay with here, and you can intern with me over the summer." And I was really excited about that opportunity. And my parents were cool with it, so I said yes to that. And he was like, "Yep, we have this family that you can stay with all summer." So I showed up to this house, and this family was like, "Yeah, our daughter's out in DC all summer interning, doing photojournalism out there. You can stay in her room." And that ended up being my wife's room. So she was out in DC all summer.
Oh, wow.
And we started talking on Facebook, you know how it goes. And she came back for a week for her brother's wedding that summer. And it was at that point, it was game over. I was like, I remember thinking, if I want to marry a girl like this someday. She was just on fire for the Lord and adventurous, creative, full of life, and just excited about the possibilities of what can happen. So I was just, she was amazing, and she still is amazing. So that's how I met her. I just needed a place to stay, and her family was like, "Yeah, our daughter's out in DC all summer. You can stay in her room."
Wow. So you're still 17-ish at that point?
Yeah.
Wow.
So this is the summer after junior year of high school. And then that summer I was shadowing Ryan, my worship pastor at the time. I was shadowing him at a summer camp. And I remember it was was probably Thursday night at camp. In the camp, it was like this camp chapel, and it has a balcony, and I was up in the balcony praying and seeking the Lord, and kind of struggling with like, I'm feeling this call to ministry, but I have this dream. I have my dream for my life. And I just remember the Lord clearly saying, I haven't called you someday. I'm asking you to do this right now.
Oh, wow.
And so I remember calling my parents and saying, hey, I think I'm supposed to lay down this soccer thing. Cause I was at the boarding school to play soccer. That's how I could go. I got a scholarship. And I remember my parents said, we'll let you know. Thanks for letting us know. We'll let you know if that's right, you know. And they prayed about it for a week and called me back and was like, hey, we feel like this is the right call, and we feel like this is the Lord, and so we'll call the school tomorrow. Yeah. And they ended up calling the school. It's called Shattuck St. Mary's. They called Shattuck, and the school was like, oh, it's such a bummer that Wes isn't going to play again. But we just so happen to be opening up a vocal performance program this next year for the first time, and we'll give him the same scholarship if he wants to join that program.
That's awesome.
And Stephen, that was the biggest moment in my life of confirmation from the Lord, that it felt like, I felt like, man, I really stepped out for the first time in a big way. And I was questioning that, you know, and just thinking, man, did I make a mistake? Did I not hear from the Lord? Was it something I ate? You know, it's like, I don't know, man. I'm just like struggling with it. And then that happened, and it was like a big neon sign from God saying, you know, you're headed in the right direction. You're on the right track. This was me. And so that doesn't always happen, you know, from God, those big confirmation moments. But I think I really needed it. The Lord knew what I needed. And so that was, that's how that went down. And I ended up going back my senior year. And while I was in the vocal performance program, I was leading worship at church every Sunday at that campus. And Bethany and I, my wife, Bethany, we dated senior year of high school for a little bit. And then we broke up. We were broken up for a year and then got back together around freshman year of college. And I married her like 10 months later after that.
You knew that had to be.
Yeah. I was locked in, man. I was like, I'm going to marry this girl for sure.
Well, then this is where it's interesting to pick up on somebody's story before you get a chance to sit down and talk to them. I'm just trying to wrap my head around what it must have been like for you when Bethany's diagnosis comes down, just 2 years in?
Yeah.
Tell me a little bit about how that happened.
Goodness. So we had gotten married. We got engaged at 19, married at 20. And we had this opportunity to go to the Middle East for like 2 months. And we were partnering with missionaries over there. Bethany was a photographer at the time. So we went over, partnered with this organization to take prayer card and family photos of a bunch of missionaries all throughout the Middle East. And then in each city, I did a prayer and worship night just to bless the team there, encourage them. So we went all over. We went to Cairo, Istanbul, Kenya, India.
Wow.
Yeah, it was amazing. So we went on this trip and had this amazing, I just don't know how to explain it. It was just such a God-breathed trip and eye-opening and encouraging and challenging, all the things. Yeah. Went on this trip, and then we come back, and about 2 months after we get back, I'm leading worship on a Wednesday night, and I get a call from my wife right after rehearsal, and she's like, "Hey, I don't know what's going on. She's in the car and she can't move her left hand."
Oh, wow.
And so, she goes to urgent care, and I meet her there, and they do an MRI, and basically find out she has a tumor on her optic nerve. And that started a long journey of a bunch of different health issues, some related to this mass that was on her optic nerve, some not. Just very strange. We had some answers, but not a lot of answers. And so that was that took us down a journey of, she got surgery to remove a tumor, ended up being benign, so it's non-cancerous, praise God. But she still had developed these other symptoms that weren't quite related. And she ended up in a wheelchair, not being able to do a whole lot.
Wow.
So I went
She's
from
22 at this point, right?
Yeah. We were very young. We were like 20, 21, 22. And, I went from being a new husband to just full-time caretaker.
Yeah.
Helping her go to the bathroom, all the things.
Yeah.
And navigating medical bills. I didn't really understand how all that worked. So it was just a lot of learning, and I was overwhelmed, and it was a tough time, Stephen. It was so tough.
I can't even imagine. You've talked about how the church really rallied around you guys.
Yeah.
And you really came to an understanding about what that term meant.
Yeah.
During this unbelievable time.
Mm-hmm. So, I mean, So first of all the questions I had about where God was at, it felt like we were just taking L's. Like we could not catch a break. And it was one thing after another. And that's really where I have a song on my latest EP called Whispers and Glimmers. And it's all about wrestling with this idea of feeling like God's not there.
Yeah.
And it's things you can only see in hindsight that you can't see when you're walking through something. If you're walking through the flames, it feels like you can't see anything around you because the flames are so high, but you look back and realize, God was with us the whole time. And the biggest instrument of that was the local church, was the people he put in our life and placed around us. I mean, they would come to the hospital and pray over Bethany. They would literally go to our house, anoint our house with oil, and pray over our house while we were in the ER. They would take care of our dog. They brought food over. I mean, if it wasn't for the local church, we would have been crushed.
I can only imagine. My goodness.
And they really took care of us, and I'm so grateful for it. And we had prayed, in church, you're in church week in and week out, and the church is so kind and people want to pray for people to get healed in a moment. You
Mm.
know, we believe the Lord can heal in a moment. Absolutely. But there was so much, the Lord chose to take us on a process of
Yeah.
healing through many, many years. It was probably from 21 to 26 or 27 that this whole journey of healing took.
Wow.
There was improvement all the way along. And there was a bunch of setbacks. It's just not linear, you know?
Yeah.
And I just think it's important for people to not get discouraged when you're praying for the Lord to heal something in a moment and it doesn't happen.
Yeah.
It's so easy to get discouraged. It's so easy to start saying no when people ask to pray for you. You know, it's like,
Mm.
I don't have time today. You know, we've been here 1,000 times, and for whatever reason, the Lord chose to take us on a process of healing.
Yeah.
That's still being played out today. I mean, there's different symptoms that aren't totally completely healed in Bethany yet, and but they're getting better year after year. She used to have
Mm.
these non-epileptic seizures, and she hasn't had one of those in a couple years now.
Oh,
Um,
nice.
so it's things like that you're just like, okay, we didn't get our instant in a moment healing, but the Lord's taken us on this beautiful journey, and I wouldn't trade what He's done in us for
Yeah.
the situation. You know, I wouldn't pray this what we walked through for anybody to experience, but I wouldn't trade it for the things the Lord grew in us. And yeah, the empathy I have for people walking through hardship.
Mm.
Um, I didn't get it, you know, before you walk
Yeah.
through real hardship. You just don't, the hardest thing you can go through is the hardest thing you can go through. You don't have
Right.
any context for it. And um of course there's people out there walking through crazier stuff than Bethany and I have ever walked through. But I think my empathy, I just didn't have this level of empathy before.
Well, you learn to recognize that hardship and gives you such a completely different view for it.
Mm-hmm.
That almost like a how can you not have that empathy kick in
Yeah.
when you've got the callous knees for something similar.
Yeah. That's exactly it.
Then that's got to just give you even a different lens for how you view the church in
Mm-hmm.
just that support that seemed to come from so many different angles,
Mm-hmm.
that it just sounds like all your needs were met,
Mm-hmm.
even
I definitely
even in
went.
the midst of such calamity.
Yeah. I definitely view church as I view church now as like, where can I get my hands dirty? Like where
Mm.
like um you know, I think there's a whole conversation about church in America and consumeristic church and all that. So I think that's still real for a lot of people.
Yeah.
Um but I just don't, I'm less and less walking into church these days thinking, what can I get out of this?
Yeah.
And more, what can I give to this? What can I add to this?
Yeah.
Um, and yeah, it just changed my perspective, and I feel like we experience the most beautiful parts of church, and
Yeah.
those parts of church weren't in a worship service on Sunday at 10 a.m. from 10 to
Right.
11. Like those gatherings are so important and so beautiful, and people are filled up and encouraged and inspired. But church happens outside the building, you know.
Yeah. In the greatest times of need.
Yeah. Yeah,
Yeah.
exactly.
Well, that had to be just an unbelievable solidifier of your relationship with Bethany too, that you guys have been through something so tragic, especially
Mm-hmm.
at such a young age, to where, you, the two of you and Jesus.
Yeah. Yeah, it
That's,
grew
I just can't even imagine.
it grew our relationship. Bethany and I talk a lot about we don't always control the things that happen to us, you know.
Yeah.
But once they do happen to us, it is our responsibility to heal and to go through the process of keeping a soft heart and letting the
Mhm.
Lord heal those spaces in you and asking
Yeah.
the question, Lord, what are you doing? Over the question, why?
Right.
Um, it's not bad to ask the question why. But I think something that has helped us more is asking, Lord, what are you doing in
Yeah.
all this humanity? Um, help me, help me
Yeah.
understand.
What am I supposed to learn in the midst of
Yeah,
so much craziness?
yeah. Because
Yeah.
you got two options, man. When things go south, you can allow those things to make your heart harder,
Yeah.
or you can allow those things to make your heart softer.
Yeah. It's so easy to go bitter.
Oh yeah. Oh yeah. And I think I mean I've gone through those seasons. You know,
Sure.
it's not
We all have.
nothing is yeah, I guess nothing I'm saying should be taken as this was a linear journey of like this happened, this was our response, this happened. It was a lot of like, Lord, where are you? I'm struggling. I don't know how to make it. I'm
Yeah.
angry. I'm upset. I'm bitter. Um and so there's all that mixed in with the, you know, the Lord plays the long game. And I'm just trying to see that more and more.
Yeah. It
But
breeds a whole different kind of patience that
mm-hmm,
I don't know. You feel like you might have never gotten to, if not for
yeah.
such a heavy experience.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. And
Wow.
and it allows you to see the goodness of God. Like
Oh, absolutely.
it's the um it it takes a little bit of darkness to realize how good the light is. You know, it's like
Yeah.
um we every hardship is a foreshadowing for the goodness of God to come through. And so yeah, I felt like we got to experience the grace of God, the goodness of God, the peace of God, in a way that we would have never experienced without going through something hard.
Yeah. It's
Um,
amazing how much adversity gives you a different lens for walking
mhm,
in, walking through. And I mean, even like you've already alluded to, maybe never walking fully out of, but at least getting to that point where you can turn around and go, oh, wow, God was with
mhm,
us at every step.
mhm. Yeah,
Yeah. Wow.
absolutely.
Okay.
Life looked a lot more normal. Leading worship, building the church,
Yeah.
writing songs. You know, we were at a church that wrote songs and released them. And we started a youth worship expression, started releasing songs under that as well. So it was a
Mm.
really beautiful time in church. And then um, it was around COVID happened, 2020.
Yeah.
Uh, and there was a lot of, you know, a lot of opinions flying around, and church was
Mm.
weird. And then
Everything was weird.
everything was weird. And George Floyd in
Yeah.
Minneapolis, and it was just it was a really hard time, I think, for any pastor to understand how to navigate those
Yeah.
situations.
Yeah.
So it was tensions were high
Mm.
at church, and fast forward like 20, I think it was 2023. I ended up getting let go over a disagreement. Ended up getting fired. Let go wouldn't be the right word. I got fired over a disagreement, and that, I've just felt confused as to, like, man, really this after 10 years?
Yeah.
And that was the next kind of, like, just really trying time in my walk with the Lord, my relationship with the local church.
Yeah. That'll rattle everything.
Yeah. Yeah. And I think, you start asking so many questions of, Lord, did I miss you? Were you asking me to leave? Was I too stubborn? Why? I feel like the, it was just very strange. It felt almost biblical, like the Lord hardened the hearts of my leaders and towards me because I missed something. You start asking all these questions, like,
oh yeah,
I don't know what went, I don't know what went wrong. I left that and confused about what to do next. Am I good at anything else? Like, can I do anything else? All I've ever done since I was 17.
You will literally question everything down to your own calling and
yeah.
And
so, ever since I was 17, I had only ever had one job, and that was to lead worship on Sundays and, lead people through the week and pastor people. And you grow into that over the years. But I was just very, very lost and not knowing what to do next. And I still have a high view of vocational ministry. I was definitely not in a place. I felt like sending out my resume to a bunch of churches was like making ministry this NBA draft of, like, where am I going to, and it just felt too sacred for that. So I just was like, I'm not going to do that. And if the Lord wants me to be back in that place again someday, he's going to make it happen. So Bethany had some cameras laying around. And I just went on YouTube and learned how to shoot some video to try to make some money. Essentially, I was like, I need a job.
Yeah. Did you feel untethered at that point?
Yeah. It was, I was so hurt, Stephen. I was, it was my family. It was my job, my livelihood, my church,
your social circles, it's everything. So all encompassing.
Everything. And it was also a part of my dream, like, to write songs that impact people, like, and I lost that. I thought that was over. Like, I was never going to do that again. And not wanting to feel this way, like, I don't want to feel bitter. I don't want to be angry. Like, I don't like how I feel. And that's when I, went on the long journey of, like, what does it look like to biblically forgive and to move on?
Help me to love just like you love me. Help me to see just like you see me. Help me respond with all your patience like you did for me.
I remember I was editing some video, and I felt like I hadn't been writing any songs. I thought that was over. And I felt like the Lord whispered to my heart, like, what changed? And I'm like, Lord, everything changed. What do you mean what changed?
Didn't change?
What didn't change? And And it was like this sense of like, no, the songwriting, why'd you stop writing songs? I didn't tell you to stop writing songs. What changed?
Yeah.
And that's when I first started thinking about like writing songs again and allowing the Lord to help heal all the bits and nasty pieces in me through the writing.
Okay.
And I believe, I think art heals. And I think that's part of the reason why the Lord invented art is to heal and sew up those broken pieces in us and help make sense of things. And
well, that whole creative process becomes such a catharsis of what you have been through. And I'm just a firm believer at this point. I mean, for a lot of similar reasons, that some of the best art comes out of very dark and painful places, because you're not trying to find 4 lines on a page and 2 of them happen to rhyme together because that fits, a certain syntax. It's like, no, this is real. This is coming from a place of darkness and adversity that I wouldn't have been able to put this, pen to paper without this line that's right behind me that I just somehow survived.
Yeah. And there's when you're writing and creating things out of a lived experience, I just think there's a different level of people feel that. Life that we live is the testimony, and even more so than the songs we make or the stories we tell. And I think that comes through, and that's what started the journey of writing my latest EP. Is titled Humanness, and it's all based around Colossians 3, which is this beautiful picture of the church and how it should look. And I think it's verse 13. It talks about we forgive because we've been forgiven. Yeah. And I just camped out on that for 2 years and really ask the Lord to help me go on that journey with him, to really heal from this and to forgive. And that's really where all the songs in the project were birthed from, Colossians 3:13. So I started writing these songs and started processing like, okay, I feel like I'm supposed to put this out. And there was a cabin by the lake, beautiful mid-century modern home by the lake in Minnesota that opened up as an opportunity to go and record these songs, and recorded it with a bunch of my friends from church, essentially people who had moved on. There was, a lot during that kind of tumultuous time at church. There was a lot of people who had ended up moving on. And so this project was so special because people flew in and we were all a part of this thing and came back together to make this project. And what can happen, Stephen, when everyone has like a shared experience. Yeah. I'm hesitant to call it like when everyone has a shared trauma because it sounds so intense, but
right.
when everyone has like a shared experience and you leave and then you get back together, it's so easy to fall into the same merry-go-round of the same conversations, the same hurts, the same pain points. Yes. And you just keep talking in circles around that same thing. And this project was so special because it was all of us collectively deciding to come back together and to make some new history together. Like let's get off that. Let's get off the merry-go-round and let's go on this healing journey together.
Yeah, start that new chapter.
Exactly. And that's what was so special. It didn't feel like, man, we all got together and it was great to catch up and make some music and complain about the same things we've been complaining
Right.
about for years. It wasn't that. It was, what new thing is the Lord doing? And let's heal each other. Let's take some time and just help heal each other this weekend. So it was, so everything that needed to happen for this project happened right there in that cabin on that weekend. And if people enjoy it, I mean, that's icing on the cake for sure. But everything that needed to be happened had already happened.
Well, I think it makes such a different mark on something like that when it's coming from a place of healing as opposed to a place from hurting.
Mm-hmm.
When you are not mired in so much of the garbage that you can't see the forest for the trees, and you can't see any of that light that you talked about before,
mm-hmm.
because all you can think about and that spiral
mm-hmm.
that you can get stuck in so easily. And I love that you mentioned even with dealing with other people in a similar situation, and how self-feeding it becomes, to where you somehow even just sit around enjoying the muck as opposed to saying, hold on.
I've been there many a times. It feels good to, be validated that someone else saw the same thing you saw, or it's like talk to the same way, or, it's like, but at the end of the day, you leave those conversations feeling just as bad.
You're no further forward by any stretch.
No. So it was just it was such a special time. And what's really cool about that project is I used a bunch of gear from the church I was at. So we like borrowed a whole console to record. Ryan, who's still there, is a feature on the project. He sings on it with me. The project has a bunch of features of kind of my family that we're all leading together at church. A bunch of people have moved on, but everyone's on this as features on this project, which was so special to me. So there's just so many layers to the reconciliation and the healing that took place. And I think that's what, that's kind of what I wanted to convey with the whole project, that it's okay to be hurt. That's not bad. It's okay to struggle in the healing process. It's not okay to just stay there and stay in it forever. It's not okay to pitch a tent and spend the night there for the rest of your life.
Right.
And so that's, I love this project, and it means the world to me.
Well, similarly, when you talked about what went on with Bethany, was it at all like that as you finish a project like this and you get that moment where you can turn around and kind of see what you've been through, see where you've come from, to find that same kind of healing, that same kind of wholeness that you would not have arrived at if it had not been for the devastation, that time when you were questioning everything. But yet here you are in a moment of, wait a second, things are a lot different now, and that's good, and that's okay.
Yeah. I'm so thankful that the Lord took me out of where I was. Even if I was stubborn, I was so stubborn. I was like, I'm going to be here until I die. Like we're doing this thing. I was more loyal to a place, more loyal to my friends, more loyal to some dream that I felt like the Lord had given me when I was 17 than to Jesus and like where he's going now, And I learned that. I think that was the biggest thing I learned through the whole process, is that more than anything else, I'm loyal to Jesus.
I can only imagine that you finish such a labor like that, that it has to stand for you as something that shows that you have been through it. You have survived stuff that would have knocked somebody down. And you may have felt that way along and along. And I love what you said before about how nonlinear so much of what we go through is, that it's very often not until you finally get to a point that you maybe thought you'd never get to.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, like, have you gotten to a point yet where you can even be grateful for some of the craziness because of where you are and because of who you are now?
Yeah. I think there's a lot. I mean, there's so much that I'm grateful for through the whole process, but there's definitely some things that I'm still like, Lord, why did it have to be like that?
Yeah.
Why did, or, I think, I don't know, man. Sometimes I'm like, sometimes we just like get in our own way, and it's like, it didn't have to be like that, but I decided to do this, and now it is like that. So sorry, that's how it goes. But I am true as a whole scheme of things. I'm truly so grateful for what the Lord's done in us and where He's placed us and where we're at now. And now I look at this. The project took a long time. Honestly, it took way longer than I wanted it to take. I was done with. I was like, I'm done with this. Like, let's be done with it. And then I have a guy that I work with a lot. His name's Cody Sabursky. He was producing this project with me, and he's always challenging me to think deeper about something, or to do that last 10% that really takes something over the edge of being okay to good or good to great.
Right.
And so I was frustrated that it took so long. And then once we finally got it out, I realized that I needed all that time. I needed all of it. I needed every bit of that time to fully let the things that I was talking about in the project, the songs, to let all those things actually work itself out in me. I think the Lord, it was how it was supposed to be. And I'm grateful for it. Now it feels like the whole project's like a stones of remembrance type thing, an altar to the Lord that I can look back on. And when those things come back up in me, which they inevitably will in some situation, and I can look back at this project and be like, no, but the Lord did this. And I think it's important to write these things down, whether you're an artist or a songwriter or whatever. It's so important to write down what God has done. So because we're forgetful people. And you can go back and look on those things and remember the goodness and the grace of God. And because something else is going to come up. Life is hard. Life is tough,
Right.
And just the more you go through, the bigger picture of the goodness of God you get, I think,
Yeah. Well, and I really love that you stated it the way you did about those times when you can look back. And I think about all the times in the Old Testament where it's just the word remember is used. Remember. And those moments when you have the questions of why. I mean, we touched on that. Why? You may not get a real clear picture as to why. So what else can you go to? Well, let me remember how God brought Bethany and I through unbelievable darkness and fear. Let me remember what it was like when God was all I had after losing that job and wondering what in the world could possibly be next. But I think if I can wax poetic at all, I think you've given us a great gift in your music. And I think you've given yourself an amazing altar of sorts where you can say, God met me here. And I hope that this is just the first of more music, more of your heart that's coming through that can then turn and encourage other people. And I hope that you're getting some feedback like that from those who are partaking of this EP.
Yeah. Well, thanks. And yeah, I agree with everything. I can't believe that people are listening to it. Honestly, it surpassed every expectation as far as like what it would do in people's lives.
Yeah.
And the amount of stories I get into my DMs of people going through really hard things, and different songs on the project actually impacting them or helping them walk through something really tough. I just I think it's maybe disingenuous. It maybe feels disingenuous to hear me say, like, I did not expect people to actually listen to it, because isn't that the goal of everything you put out? You know, wouldn't you? I for sure want people to listen to it. I want it to be successful, whatever successful means. But I mean, I just didn't. I think the Lord he just blessed me with it actually impacting people.
Yeah.
Because, you know, you put out music and it just goes into the void, and it's like, well, hopefully someone hears it.
And you wonder.
Yeah. And when I started the whole process, I didn't have any kind of following on social media or anything. Like,
yeah,
I don't know. It was,
well, and I think that's where you've done yourself a really good favor by including bits of your story that are out there that, you know, if I can only use myself as a case study here, that people can start connecting those dots. It's like, oh man, when you listen to this song in light of this aspect of Wes's story, now it takes on a whole different life. Now these lyrics have a whole different kind of punch to them. That, oh, okay, that, I don't know, I'm just, as a longtime video person, I'm just always so motivated by story. So when you can see how the thing weaves through like that, it just, I think that was a big part of why I just thought, okay, I'm going to reach out to this guy and see if he'd be willing to sit down and have a discussion with me, because I just love a good story. And I think that this is all reflective of unbelievable story, and that it all ends with how God intervened at these points in your life. How can that not encourage people?
My only encouragement to anyone listening is to make art, and to make art that honors the Lord. And because you just never, it's going to mean something to someone somewhere someday. And it's going to pick them up out of a tough situation. It's going to encourage them. And at the very least, it's going to be a reminder to you down the road when surely something's going to happen and tough times will be ahead.
Yep.
And you can look back and remember, write it down, write poetry, make art, make videos. I'm kind of maybe I'm a little woo-woo, but I love art and I think it's important.
Allow me to encourage you to check out Wes's album, Humanness. There really is not a bad song in the bunch. I am quite confident that you will enjoy it. And while you're at it, check out everything he's got going on YouTube. He really posts some great content about how the music came together, plus just some slices of his own life. I'll make sure that I've got all the links down in the show notes. Make sure that you are subscribed to The Nook on your favorite podcast app so that you don't miss any of this content. And I will see you back here next time in The Nook.
The Nook Podcast is a production of Sozo Digital Media.